Hello, and a good morning, good afternoon, and a very good evening to you all, the good and wonderful people of the tube. For today, hope you're feeling grand and always when you world. Hello there, everybody. Today's video with you, I want to do a bit of a natter about something. It's kind of, someone said to me a long time ago, and it's something that kind of like, I kind of wanted to address, but it's taken me kind of like, it's been kind of like going around in my head, and I'm kind of like been trying to think of like ways to kind of like approach the subject. So, as the title suggests, Justin Hawkins doesn't like John Frusciante. So I got a couple of messages from a few people saying, have you seen Justin Hawkins' new video? This was ages ago now. On the Chili Peppers, he doesn't like John Frusciante's playing. He said it's soulless and da-da-da-da-da. It's like, it really upset people that Justin Hawkins said that John Frusciante's guitar playing is void of feel, and he doesn't have any vibrato, and he doesn't like it because of that. And I can understand why it upset people, but, and this is where I think this is kind of like the point I'm trying to get to. It's only his opinion. If you like John, what does it matter what Justin Hawkins thinks? Justin Hawkins and anyone should not have any sway on your opinion on what you love or don't love. Just because Justin Hawkins doesn't mean like John Frusciante doesn't mean like he doesn't have the right to say that, if that makes any sense. You know what I mean? Like he's allowed to say he doesn't like him. He's allowed to say his guitar playing is void of emotion and doesn't like it because he doesn't use vibrato enough and just doesn't like it. Doesn't like the Chili Peppers, apart from Give It Away, apparently. He's allowed to say that. Everyone is allowed to dislike things. And the thing is, if you love something and somebody else doesn't, and they tell you that I really don't like it, I hate that, that is just not me, it is not your place to get angry at them for their opinion. You can be a bit kind of like, but you can't go the nasty route at that because it's not fair. Because again, that's their opinion, not yours. And at the end of the day, if you know where you stand with something, then what does it matter what somebody else thinks? Again, like I say, I hate to use myself as an example, but I'm going to just quickly, is like, my entire life I've been told that because I'm using solid state amps, I'm doing it wrong. But I'm not, because it's what works for me. I've had valve amplifiers. I don't particularly get on with them as well as I get on with my solid state amps. I love my solid state amps way more than my valve amps that I've had and have, because again, they suit me down to the ground. They do exactly what I want whenever I want it, and it's always consistent. But some people in my life, that's been massively offensive to them, which means that's not my problem, because it's they're making the problem. So coming back to the subject matter at hand, Justin Hawkins hates John Frusciante, or dislikes John Frusciante, shall we say. I think hate's a bit of a strong term. Just doesn't like his playing, doesn't really like the Chili Peppers, doesn't really get it, it's not really kind of his thing. So what? No skin off my teeth. I still love John Frusciante regardless of what Justin Hawkins or anybody else tells me. Again, I've been told many, many times that my obsession with John Frusciante is very unhealthy. No, it's not. It might be to you from your perspective, but to me, it's really, really healthy because it's got me through a lot of really negative and dark times. So how can that be a negative thing? You just want to sound like him. Yeah, of course I do. He's my hero. Yeah, we all want to sound like it. We all want to be like our heroes. Anyone who says they don't is lying, I think, because everyone wants to be like their heroes. I do. I mean, I don't know anybody who doesn't, And again, through trying to be like your heroes and striving to be like your heroes, you develop yourself. You develop you. Because you have one hero, then you have two, then you have three, then you have four, then you have five. And then what eventually happens is you have this whole smorgasbord of artists that you want to sound like, and you end up just concocting this mix of everyone, and that's you. That's how you become yourself. That's how you get your own individual sound. I personally believe, anyway, again, my opinion, doesn't mean anything to anybody but me. Justin Hawkins' opinion on John Frusciante doesn't mean anything to anybody but him. It's not worth getting bent out of shape just because somebody like that doesn't like John Frusciante. Personally, I love John Frusciante and I love Justin Hawkins. I think he's an amazing guitarist. He's a great songwriter. I'm not the biggest fan of his YouTube channel, personally. You know, it doesn't really, I don't watch it. I used to watch it right at the beginning, and then I kind of just like fell out of favour with it. It just didn't do anything for me eventually. And then I went back and watched the videos today on what he had said. And yeah, it just didn't affect me. I was just like, you know, he's got his own point. He's got a valid point for him. You know, and I don't see the point in arguing the point to him. If somebody doesn't like something, there's no point you trying to argue them around. You know, if somebody doesn't like apples and you're like, apples are the best thing in the world, how dare you? I'm going to force one down your throat. It's wrong, you know. Who cares if Justin Hawkins doesn't like John Frusciante? If you love John like I do, then who cares? Who gives a flying monkeys? Because I don't care. I don't care. Justin Hawkins has got no bearing on my life. What he thinks and how he is has got nothing to do with what I am and what I think or feel. John will always be my number one hero, and somebody coming up to me and saying, I hate John Frusciante, is not going to change that. If they don't like him, I don't care. I do. And I think this is the point, because a lot of people got really bent out of shape over the fact that Justin said his playing lacks feel. I mean, obviously, to me and a lot of other people, of course John Frusciante's guitar playing doesn't lack feel, but to a lot of people it does. You know, I feel that way about some guitarists who people will get really passionate about. I can say, well, I can't feel anything of them. You know, it doesn't mean I don't respect them as an artist, but the fact is there are guitarists and there is music out there that I'm just like, there's literally nothing for me. It's like it's like I'm wearing a bulletproof vest and they just shot me with a BB gun. It just goes doing and it bounces off, and that's what it is, you know. So there's no real need to get kind of like worked up and upset when somebody hates or dislikes something that you love. Because at the end of the day, if you love it, then who cares what somebody else thinks or what somebody else says? You know, again, you'll get told a lot in your, people will know anyway. I'm sure I'm preaching to the choir a bit, but you'll get told in your life a lot of things, and quite a lot of them you probably won't agree with, and you're like, well, no, I don't agree with that one. So to flip this on its head, you having a go at Justin for saying, like, but people having a go at Justin, should we say, for not liking John Frusciante and the Chili Peppers, is like coming up to you and saying, like, well, I reckon you should be doing this when you don't want to do it. It's if that makes any sense. I don't know if that makes any sense, Peter. I'm a bit edgy about how I've worded that one. I hope that makes some kind of sense. But it's not worth getting bent out of shape over what somebody else loves or doesn't love. Not everyone can like what you like. You are an individual at the end of the day. We're all different. We're all our own person. We all have our own loves and hates. And we're allowed those things. We're allowed to hate things and we're allowed to love things. And if we know what we like and what we love, no one can tell us otherwise. No one can turn around and say, well, you're doing it wrong. If it's bringing you happiness and joy and it's making you comfortable, then it's not wrong. Me using solid state amps isn't wrong just because people have an absolute Benny every time I go, I use solid state amps. Like, oh my God, you don't use valve amps, you're not a real musician, blah, 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 all that nonsense and jibber jabber, and doesn't mean anything to me. I don't care. If you've got a problem using solid state amps, that is your problem. That is not mine, because I'm happy here. It's not like I'm going, I use solid state amps, but I don't really like them very much. And be like, oh my God, you need a valve amp. Yes, but I only have it's not that. It's like, I'm using solid state amps because I love them and they make me happy. And that's all that matters to me. And they inspire me. And I like the consistency of sound. I just love them. And it's as simple as that. So anyone who comes on and says that's wrong, it's like, no, it's not. It's wrong for you. But this isn't you. This is me. This is my world. These are my amps. And this is my sound. And this is my music that I'm making. You know, so it's right for me. And the same goes for all of you out there, YouTube. Never, ever let people tell you that you're wrong for doing something you love. You know, and using stuff that you love. If you love to play Stratocasters, then you love to play Stratocasters. If you love to play AC/DC all day, or White Stripes, or whatever all day, and you don't really have any desires to do anything else, then it's not wrong. I get tired of this constant back and forth of people going, like, you don't like this? Whatever. Because I've had that a lot. You know, again, with amps and guitars and all this kind of thing. It's very wearing, and it does upset, and it does get in your head. You do start to go, oh, hang on a minute, am I wrong? And anything that makes you question yourself, I don't think is a good thing, especially if you already knew. You know what I mean? It's like, you know, no one's ever going to, like, persuade me that John Frusciante isn't, like, you know, my hero. No one's ever going to win that argument. You know, that is a losing argument. Losing fight, sorry. You're never going to beat that thought and that feeling in me. No one's strong enough. No one. Not even me. John is my biggest hero today. You know, he always will be the number one hero in my life. You know, he just will be. And there's nothing anyone can do. Anyone who tries to fight that will lose. And again, this is my point, is like, if you've got an opinion and a love that's so strong, then what does it matter what anybody else says? You know, if you like using gauge 9s on your guitar and people go, oh, well, Stevie Ray Vaughan used gauge 14s. If you're not a real guitarist and you're not a real blah-blah-blah until you use gauge 14s and you can't do this and you can't do that. No, that's their opinion. It's not yours, and it's not your world, and it ain't your life. That's their life. If they want to go out there and get, you know, using gauge 14 strings and get problems with their wrist or whatever with a high action, like Stevie had at the end of his career. Stevie had to come down string gauge size at the end of his career because he got what's the word? He got like basically like a real problem with it. Like, you know, he was struggling to play. You know, because again, it told on him. Mike, how do you say his name? Mike from Incubus. I'm not going to try and butcher his last name. It was exactly the same story as well. Mike, for years and years and years, used to use gauge 14, 15 gauge guitar strings. And eventually got carpal tunnel syndrome, Mike did. And it was because he used heavy strings, and he was a small guy, and he couldn't... his tendons couldn't take it, and he had to have carpal tunnel syndrome surgery. And now he uses 9s, and he says he doesn't really... You know, he kind of wish he'd kind of gone there earlier, you know. And it is one of those things, just because you're using what you like doesn't mean it's wrong, you know. And again, if you want to go out there and do that, that's fine. But don't badger and push other people into it. It's not fair. You know what I mean? And again, I am a big believer in not using heavy gauge strings, unless obviously you're heavily down tuned. If you're using gauge like 16 strings in standard tuning, I mean, I'm personally, that fills me full of dread. If you want to go and do it, go ahead and do it. Again, like I say, this is only my opinion. It's got no basis in your life. It's just my opinion. But I fear for people's ability to play later on. Like, you know, people playing like with really high action and gauge 14 strings like Stevie Ray Vaughan. If Stevie couldn't manage it all his life, bless him, you know, and other people haven't been able to manage it. You know, there's a reason people like Steve Vai and Billy Gibbons and Eddie Van Halen and Joe Satriani all use like, you know, 7s, 8s and 9s. You know, you rarely see like guitar, but like, you know, guitarists, like technical guitarists using heavy gauge strings. They don't ever go above 10s. I mean, I know Paul Gilbert used 10s at one point for a certain period of time, but he's back to 9s. Yngwie Malmsteen, 8s and 9s. Brian May, you know, it's one of those things. And again, I've always made a deal with myself that I love gauge 9 strings. Personally, I think, you know, but I have trouble with especially live 9s because I tend to get carried away and overbend, and it just gets a bit silly. But I've got to deal with myself is like, as soon as I start to feel too much tension on 10s, I'm switching to gauge 9s permanently. Well, as soon as my hand starts to feel a little bit too tired using 10s, like I will know it as well, because I think we all know those kind of feelings. Once I get to that point, it's gauge 9s from that point on. Because again, I want to be able to play until I'm just not here anymore. And anything I can do to facilitate that, I will do. But no one's ever going to convince me that's wrong. You know, and again, this is the thing, is like, you know, Justin Hawkins doesn't like John Frusciante. Who cares? Who cares what Justin Hawkins likes or doesn't like? I don't care. I don't care if he loves John or hates him. I really couldn't care less what that man likes or doesn't like, because at the end of the day, his beliefs and his loves and likes and dislikes have got no bearing on my life or my loves, dislikes, or whatever's. You know, this is my life to lead. I can make my own mind up for myself because I'm me. You know, so getting bent out of shape over what someone says about one of my heroes is kind of a waste of my time, and it's their problem, and I'm making it my problem if I do so. And it doesn't seem, it seems counterproductive. It just seems silly, you know. And again, the whole thing about string gauge, I've had it all my life saying people tell me, oh, I'm using string gauges wrong. Like, not if it works for me. If you want to go out there and put gauge whatever on your guitars, do it to your guitars. These are my guitars. Same thing with the relicking malarkey, which I'm going to touch on quickly as well. And I'm going to start to wind up this video. If you don't like relicking, cool. If you do like relicking, cool. That's about as far as it goes. There isn't kind of like, oh, you shouldn't relic guitars. If they're my guitars, I can do what I want with them. If I wanted to throw one of my guitars off a cliff, I definitely wouldn't do that because I love my guitar so much. But if I wanted to do that, I could do that because it's my guitar. I bought it. It's my property. I can do with it how I wish. Now, if I come around to your house and you're anti-relic and I start relicking one of your guitars, then you've got grounds to beat me up. But I'm not going to do that. I'm only going to do that to my own guitars. So why get bent out of shape over somebody doing something to their own property? And I hate this comparison of like, you wouldn't buy a car all beaten up. Not the same deal. Anyway, I'm not going to get on to the... I mean, that is, to me, that is a non-argument. In all fairness, this John Frusciante thing is a non-argument. There's a lot of non-arguments going around today in the music world and in the world in general. It's like, it's unnecessary. It doesn't need to be because it's not important in the scheme of things. What's important in the scheme of things is you do what you love and what makes you happy, because we are not here long enough to care about anything else. You go out there and you tell the people you love them. And anything else is secondary. And you follow your path. Do not get swayed by other people. Do not get dragged down by other people. Do not get disheartened by what other people say. If you feel something is right, then invariably it's right. You know, walk your path. Don't get confused with other people's. It's very hard to do, but it is doable. So next time somebody like Justin Hawkins says, John Frusciante, don't like him, doesn't play with any feel, just go, fair enough. And move on. That's it. That's all you need to do. There's no point putting nasty comments or saying, oh, he doesn't know what he's talking about. He does for him. He does for him. Justin comes across as one of those people who knows what he likes and what he doesn't like. And we are not in any position to say he's wrong or he's right. He is whatever he is to him. You know, and that's all that matters. You know, as long as we just going to go, yeah, whatever. You know, but I'm not going to hold it against him. I'm still going to go away and listen to The Darkness and still think he's a fantastic guitarist and one of the best frontmen I've ever seen live. And literally one of the best live bands I've ever seen live. Because he is. You know, I've seen The Darkness three times. I can't remember that. Yeah, either way. And each time they're amazing. And Justin is fantastic frontman. And he's a great singer and he's a great guitarist. To me. And again, there it is, to me. And that's the way it is to me. And no one's going to convince me otherwise. I remember seeing him at Nottingham Rock City, and he came round on it. He came because he gets carried around the crowd, and he was literally in reaching distance of me. I've got an amazing picture somewhere of that. And he was literally in reaching distance. If I find it, I'll put it in here, but I don't think I've got it anymore. Anyway, but he was in reaching distance, and honestly, you know, it was just amazing. It really was cool. They're such an amazing band, such an amazing live band. And I saw the original lineup as well. It still had Ed on drums at the time, which was very cool. But anyway, just wanted to have a bit of a natter about that. Like I say, walk your path. I mean, I try to say this a lot. I know I'm a bit of a broken old record, but I think it's really important to kind of reiterate this constantly so you reiterate it to yourself. You know, if somebody doesn't like what you love, it's not an issue. It's literally the definition of a non-issue. If they start pushing their opinion, then there's a problem. If you start pushing your opinion, there's a problem. What it should be is, I don't like that. You go, fair enough. That's where it ends. It's just a full stop. That's the end of it. There isn't any, well, actually, you're wrong. And let me tell you why you're wrong. There isn't. If they don't like it, they're right. And if you love it, you're right. There isn't a wrong. You know what I mean? You're wrong if you try and push it. It's mental, but yeah, that's how it works. Everyone just needs to just let everybody love and like what they want. And then it'll be okay. Because you're not making problems where there are none. You're not making up these issues when there are none. You're not taking on other people's opinions that have got no weight to you. If you love what you love, and you like what you like, and you know it deep down, you feel it deep down. Maybe burp. What does it matter what anybody else thinks? If you love AC/DC and you think AC/DC are the best band in the world, and somebody comes on and says, I hate AC/DC, I think they're crap. So what? I don't care. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, if you know you love AC/DC, you love AC/DC. I love John Frusciante, and no one's ever going to convince me otherwise. And no one's ever going to convince me that Jimi Hendrix wasn't the best guitarist ever and changed the face of guitar. Because to me, there's only two people who changed the face of electric guitar, and that's Jimi Hendrix and Eddie Van Halen. And that's it. Everyone else just kind of like stood on their shoulders, but they're the two mountains, Jimi Hendrix and Eddie. Eddie's a little bit just below Jimmy because some of the techniques that Eddie came up with, Jimmy did. You know what I mean? And, you know, you could argue there's Jeff Beck in there as well. But for me, Eddie and Jimmy are the big ones. You know, there's also people like Steve Vai, you know, there's Yngwie Malmsteen. But again, Richie Blackmore, actually, I tell a lie, there's three. I will say Richie Blackmore as well, because Richie headed that super fast neoclassical thing. So I'm going to say three there, people. I'm just going to make a bit redaction and come back again. Jimi Hendrix, Eddie Van Halen, Richie Blackmore. Those three guitarists to me are the guys who changed the face of electric guitar. They're the ones that made the electric guitar what it is. Again, you don't have to agree with me. You don't have to argue with me. You're not going to change my mind on things like that. And I don't have to change yours. I'm not going to force that on you. You don't have to believe me. You don't have to agree with me. You know what I mean? Like, you know, I don't want to argue about it. I don't, you know, life's too short. All I know is that's what I feel. And that's all that matters. That is literally all that matters. You know, at the end of the day, is what you feel. If people disagree with me, fine. You're allowed to. I'm not going to argue my point with you. You know, and you shouldn't have to argue your point with me. You know, it's a pointless exercise. It's a waste of time. And it's a waste of time that, you know, we don't have a lot of. You know, life is so fast. It goes by so fast. And it isn't worth getting bent out of shape over silly little things like that person doesn't like what I like. Of course they don't. They're not you. You know what I mean? Just be you. Like I said, walk your path. Be happy. And just enjoy it. Enjoy where you're going. Enjoy your walk. Because again, at the end of the day, petty feuds on what's best or what's great and this, that and the other. And again, I'm as guilty as anybody with this kind of thing. But less so as I get older, the less I can be bothered with it. And because it doesn't mean anything at the end of the day. And like I say, I know what I love and what I don't love. Like, I can feel what I love and I can't feel what I don't. So it's pretty easy. You know what I mean? And people aren't going to change my mind on anything because this is my life. This is my path that I'm walking. You know what I mean? And you've got your own to walk. You know, we are all individuals. We're all ourselves. We like and love what we like and love. And it's not up to anybody to say what we're wrong, because we're not. If we love it, we love it, and that's right to us. If they hate it, that's right to them. You know what I mean? But it's when you start forcing things on people, it's when it goes wrong. Anyway, enough waffle, people of the truth. I just wanted to have a bit of a natter about that, because it's something that's been kind of like percolating in my head for months now. Like literally months and months and months, on like the idea of like, you know, because Justin even said in his videos, he really upset people when he said, oh, he didn't like John Frusciante's guitar playing, he thought it was void of emotion, and it really upset people, and I can see why, but that's his opinion and he's entitled to that, and if that's what he feels, then that's what he feels, and that's fair enough. You know what I mean? It's not up to us to go, he's wrong, because he's not wrong to him. And again, that's his opinion. And if we don't agree with him, we go, no, I don't agree with that. And then you move on. If you don't like something, you just kind of go, yeah, and then you just go somewhere else. You wouldn't stay in a room full of stuff you hate when you can just walk out the door, would you? You know, if the door's wide open, you're in a room full of everything you hate or dislike, you're not going to sit in there just because. You're going to walk out the door and you're going to go and find a room you do like to be sat in. And that's, you know, that's this in a nutshell. You know. So anyway, I hope that's made some kind of sense, people of tube. I hope that's not too much whiffle waffle there. Anyway, but yeah, like I say, walk your path. Don't walk other people's. It's very, very hard to do sometimes, I know, but it is super important to bear that in mind. Anyway, thank you very much indeed for watching, people of tube. I'll see you again very soon for another video. Yeah, I've got to say one quick thing, actually. The video I did on Monday, I don't really know what's going on with the audio of that, but it's gone a bit weird. So I don't know. I don't know what happened to the audio on that video. Anyway, who knows? Ghost in the system. But what was I going to say? Yeah, if you like the channel, please consider becoming a patron at Patreon. Links to that in the description box below, as well as links to my Bandcamp. Other than that, thank you so much indeed for watching, people, and I'll see you again very soon for another one. Have a great morning, afternoon, good evening, and goodbye now. And remember, walk your path, don't walk other people's. Stay true to yourself, love what you love, and don't let anybody tell you it's wrong if you love it. And you'll know you love it because you can feel it. Okay? Don't let people sway you. Go for it.